You're listening to the World Football Program with all the latest updates from both local and international football.
Welcome everyone, the World Football Program on Radio Fremantle 107.9 FM. Another Saturday from 10 to 12, talking lots of football. In the studio with myself, Penny Tanner Hoth, is Don Evans and Miguel Maron. Good morning, guys.
Morning, Penny.
Good morning, Penny. Good morning, listeners. What a beautiful autumn day.
It is. It wasn't supposed to rain, and then I was standing outside today and it rained over Bull Creek. If it rains anywhere, it starts in Bull Creek, apparently. So there you go. So my washing got brought in great haste before I left for the show today. All good. We've got Don Evans, the man about town, knows everything about football, and if he doesn't, he certainly gets to know it pretty darn quick. And we've got Miguel, who's the president of the Australian Mini Football Federation, keeping us up to date with what's happening in that form of football. And other guests on the show today, we've got Tash Evans from DT38, whom we'll talk to very shortly. Mark Lee from Pro Football Training, the South Coast Baptist College. You might not have heard of their program before, so we'll have a couple of guys in the studio a little later and they'll tell us all about that. And Football West NTC coach Justine Bonzis talking about women's football, girls football, SAP, etc., etc. Got to have that contingent of football. The women's and girls football is supposedly the biggest growing part of the game, so we'll talk about that as much as we possibly can and encourage everyone to know about it and be involved with it. Thanks to all the people that support us and get us to air, such as Garden Fence Hardware WA, Oz West Fencing and Wrought Iron, the Australian Mini Football Federation, Data Plats, Perth Glory, Rachel Pepper Illustrations, and everybody out there who donates, because we are a community program. Your donations via memberships from $33 and upwards help us stay on air. Thank you very much. You can get in contact with us via the Facebook page or text 0417 622 921, 0417 622 921, and now our YouTube channel is up and running. So we are starting to load some shows from the last month or so, thanks to Peter Sekila for helping with that one. So just go to YouTube, type in the World Football Program, Radio 107.9 FM, I think, or similar, and it'll start coming up with some previous shows, which will be on the internet forever. Love the internet. Access to everything.
It's dangerous, Pen. It means everyone can hold us to our word.
It does. Everyone can get access to it. It's great. I do get calls every week asking for information on shows, and the station does archive the last week and then override on radiofremantle.com. That's all these different ways of getting access to everything. You can't miss out these days. It's pretty difficult. Don, I'm going to get Tash on the phone, and if you want to take us through some of the fixtures for the weekend, that'd be super.
Yeah, no, it's I've been away for a month, Miguel and Penny, and the world's changed in Perth. It's just so different, the landscape of the football scene here, with games being played, the FFA Cup happening, and some upsets there with Div 1 teams winning through, and on Monday that's the semi-finals are on, and we find Bayswater and Western Knights going head-to-head, and Sorrento and Dianella. So the Dianella and Western Knights teams are potentially the giant killers of the competition. So I'm sure their supporters will be coming out in droves on Monday, and that'll be played at Frank Drago, and the other game will be down at Windy Hill at Sorrento's ground. So that's going to be a real tasty encounter to see who goes through from those four teams. I think the favourites are saying Bayswater and Sorrento, but I'm sure the Western Knights and Dianella White Eagles supporters will have a different thought on that one, Pen. It's going to be exciting.
Yeah, there's going to be big games there.
There's lots of football on this weekend. So much for a long weekend and having a break of any kind.
No break. It's just football, and you've got someone on the line.
We do. Tash Evans. Good morning, Tash.
Hello, how are you?
We're talking to Tash Evans from the DT38 Foundation, and I was just mentioning to your dad earlier, Tash, that I was listening to the Four Diegos, another football program in Australia that's been running almost as long as this one, and they were talking about young Dylan Tombides, and the reference was Socceroos, who is the next generation of strikers coming up? Where are we getting them from? Are we doing all the right things? Do we have them to hand? And Dylan's name came up from a listener who phoned into the show, and I thought, that's pretty awesome.
And the DT38 Foundation was mentioned in the same, and that's the thing, every time we think about Dylan, it's DT38 now.
Yep. Yeah. The job's been done, Tash, hasn't it? You've got the profile out there. The process that Dylan went through has created this fantastic machine called DT38, which is getting out and about now. Tell us, give us an update of where things are at with DT38.
I think for us, at the moment, the most important thing that's been happening is, without a doubt, our free screenings that we've been doing, for the last 2 years with Ultrasound Services Applecross. Duncan Hardy and his team have now screened over 500 men in that time, and at our last screenings there was over 100 guys who went, which is a record for us. So that came off the back of the Manchester United Legends and the Perth Glory awareness match, but also when Jesse Hogan, the young AFL player, was diagnosed, we had a really large response of guys from the sort of AFL community as well, who have also realised the importance of going and getting themselves checked. And as much as we don't like to hear of stories of men being diagnosed, Duncan has now had to refer 3 of the patients who have come to him for ultrasounds to urologists, and basically one of the guys who came actually just went thought, I might go, no symptoms at all, and has been diagnosed, and is now going through his own battle. However, he is really positive about his battle because it has been detected at quite an early stage, and he's really pushing to help us spread the message, because he's obviously now seen just how important it is to really go and get checked. And look, I think for me at the moment, going in and doing awareness sessions with clubs, we just recently did one last week with Subiaco, and we've got their under-15 team who are going to be representing DT38 at the Gothia Cup in July. And we did a session there. They had about 100 people turn up to their club rooms, and it was really all about getting those guys and teaching them how to conduct self-checks, feeling safe to talk about it as well, and know what to do, because I think that's the one question I ask as soon as I enter a room: who actually knows how to conduct a self-check? And the response is always none of them. So we leave, 100 people who now know how to do it, and the message spreads.
That's pretty important, I think, what you're saying there, Tash, is providing a forum where guys feel comfortable that they can talk about it. I think that's it. I mean, if you go to, women, we talk a lot, we giggle, girls, we giggle, we talk, scream. As become women, we talk, we do less screaming, but we just talk a lot.
But you're health conscious.
We do. We talk about everything.
Women know their body so much better than men. Men basically wait for something to hit them, and when they have to deal with it, they go to a doctor when it's serious.
Yep, so providing the forum is a really important thing, and isn't it fantastic that the association that your family has with all these famous publicised people can create an identity for DT38?
Look, it's just a lot of really, really good people all wanting to work together for the same common cause. So, yeah, it's really important. And touching on, what you just said about women, like we have that chat with the guys, but I also sort of empathise with men in the sense that I feel that as women we are constantly bombarded with information and education regarding breast cancer and ensuring that we're going to the pap smears and all of these things. And I mean, I know that men receive their prostate letters in the mail, but there's nothing for testicular cancer. And these young boys are the ones who really do need that reminder and that push to sort of know what to do and how to. So I think for us, the vital tool is just educating them. And the thing is, it's not rocket science. It's very simple. And I think once they've learnt about Dylan's story, it really does touch them. And it doesn't just touch them in the sense of, oh yes, I have to worry and be stressed about the fact that I could potentially get testicular cancer. It actually inspires them in other aspects of their life too, especially these up and coming footballers. So yeah, it's really good to see the positive impact that G238 is having.
So that was really great work with Subiaco Football Club in terms of them getting on the front foot and bringing you in to have a chat to their kids. For other clubs out there, Tash, who may want to be doing the same thing or a similar thing, can you let them know how they can register their interest for this sort of thing?
For sure. I mean, they can send me an email, natasha@dt38.co.uk, or they can go on our website and fill out a contact form and go message us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, wherever. And look, we are more than happy to be working with, we want to be working with as many clubs as possible. And it is really important, I think, around that, under 15 age group that we are sort of having a chat with the players. And look, it's, as soon as people think, oh yeah, but it's just, how are we going to entertain these boys for an hour? Are they going to get bored? It's an entertaining session. There is a lot of bands, a lot of laughs, and the boys leave educated, but having a good laugh as well.
Tash, we're going to have to leave it there. I really appreciate your time. If you can grab 5 minutes here and there with you along the way, then feel free to put your hand up, and I'm sure Don will remind me as well. Appreciate your time today. It's great. Thank you.
Thanks, Penny. Take care, guys.
Cheers.
No problem. See you, Tash.
Bye.
That was Tash Evans from DT38 promoting the cause. Guys, we're going to go to a quick break and come back and chat with Mark Lee from Pro Football Training before he goes off to his next coaching session. This is Pen and Don and Miguel on the World Football Program.
The World Football Program welcomes the Australian Mini Football Federation onto Radio Fremantle. Join the growing numbers playing non-traditional forms of football at any of the Area 5 centres around Perth. Find out more on osminifootball.com. Station sponsor.
Oswest Fencing and Wrought Iron. Our family fabricates fence panels, gates and framework, repairs gates and sets up automated systems. Ring us on 9258 6822 for old-fashioned family service and advice. Station sponsor.
The Perth Glory Football Club is proud to support WA football and the World Football Program. Stay tuned on 107.9 FM every Saturday from 10 a.m. for the very latest Perth Glory news. A-League, W-League and youth, glory is ours. Station sponsor.
The team behind FootballWA.net can boast the best independent local football website and football forums in WA. These are sites devoted entirely to promoting the local game and our history. Visit FootballWA.net for the World Football Program guest lineup every Friday. Radio Fremantle, recognising volunteers who support football in the local community.
Welcome back to the World Football Program on 107.9 FM on YouTube now. If you want to catch up with any of the shows, including this one, they upload after about Wednesday. You can contact us anytime on Facebook, or our text number is 0417 622 921. On the line now, talking to myself, Penny, Don and Miguel, is Mark Lee from Pro Football Training. Good morning, Mark.
Good morning, guys. How are you? Can you hear me okay? I'm just still in the car.
Yeah, that's fine. We're catching up with people on the go all the time. That's the nature of the beast.
Morning, Marky. We got you loud and clear, mate.
Hey, Don. How are you? How are you, Miguel?
Very good, Matty. Yourself?
Very good, thank you, guys. Lovely to hear from you.
Thanks for joining us on the show. It's been a while since we've caught up with you. How are things with the pro football training? What's coming up? Tell us all the exciting news.
Yeah, lots going on, Penny. We've got our clinics coming up in July. We've got a really exciting tournament on Monday, which has all been designed and implemented from our guest coach from Sunderland Football Club, who has been staying with us. He's here for 2 months on a work placement from the academy. Young man called Andy Cartwright, who's had a massive influence on our coaches and the parents and the kids that he's been engaging. So I don't know if you guys were aware, but in the Premier League and the academies back in the UK, they do what's called an overloads tournament, which is basically a way of challenging the players to having to think a little bit differently. So the concept that we have on Monday, it's an indoor tournament at Lords. It's a futsal-based tournament, and the first period of the game is going to be a 4v2, and then after 90 seconds it flips to a 2v4, and the last 2 minutes of the game is a 4v4 game. So it's had huge success back in the UK, just basically encouraging players to problem solve, to work together, to come up with different solutions if they have more players on the team or less players on the team. So we're really looking forward to it. We've never done it before. It'll be interesting to see how the boys and girls respond to it.
And is that open to the community or from members from...
Yeah, it's open to everybody, Penny. So I mean, listen, unfortunately we sold out. There's no places left. It's gone crazy, which is great. But yeah, it was open for everybody, and it was just advertised on our social media and through the database that we have of the thousands of kids and families and stuff. So yeah, we've had a great response, which has been wonderful.
And that social media, Mark, works a treat for you, getting the message out, and for anyone that wants to check out what the boys at PFT do. And I'm proud to say that it's been a wonderful experience for our young fella Dean since he's been with you. Just the people that he meets, the people that he interacts with, and then the feedback that comes for your group and what you and Barry have created there. And for anyone wanting to know more, just go on the Facebook site for Pro Football Training and have a look at a video there that basically interviews the boys that are the teachers that you employ, and these guys are second to none in terms of getting that message across of football is fun, it's not hard work.
Yeah, I think it is, done it. Like 15 and all the guys that are part of our team, it's a real collective philosophy that we've got, and that's the wonderful thing about pro football. I don't think you say hard work and fun, and sometimes people misconceive that as kids just come down. It's a real laugh and a joke, and it is to a certain extent. But there's a lot of hard work. There's a lot of discipline involved without being disciplined, if you know what I mean, Don.
Yep.
I don't think any child should have to be disciplined and shouted and barked at doing something that they absolutely love doing, and that's where the success we get, and obviously we're so grateful to all the mums and dads and the coaches and the clubs that speak so highly of us. But it's the same philosophy, Don, whether we're coaching someone like Miguel's daughter Ella at Soccer Superheroes, or we're coaching a young man or a young girl that's trying to apply their trade in the professional game. It's the same philosophy all the time. It's the same values. It's the same standards that we try and uphold with every section that we deliver. The
feedback I get, Penn, is parents saying that their kids actually get spoken to as adults, and they are very respectful in the way the message is put across to the kids. So it's not like being yelled at and screamed at for making a mistake. It's actually being explained and how to correct and make sure that you don't make that mistake the next time. And it's done in a way where the child actually is receptive to it, and the child then responds. So every parent that I've spoken to that goes through the PFT process have nothing but praise for the way the message is put across, which is so important.
It's like being a parent in explaining whatever life skill you're trying to get across, like do your chores, wash the dishes. They want to avoid it, they don't want to do it, they find other things to do, and then the message is repeated and explained to them why they should do it. It contributes to the household. It's part of growing up and being responsible, and then eventually it sinks in and it becomes an automatic part. I totally agree with the enthusiasm and encouragement and positive parts, and sometimes when the wrong things get done in football, you just need to avoid saying that and concentrate on the good things so that the kid goes, I did that right.
Positive reinforcement.
It's like the blowfly in the house. You turn all the lights on and they go down the hallway and out the door.
Yep.
They go to the lights.
Hey, on another note, Mark, there's a lot of boys who are either Glory players or NTC or young guys coming through the system now becoming young men, like the likes of Alex Vitesky coaching at Gwelup, Reece, Dean, all playing in the NPL. And now we see that this generation are now learning how to become coaches via the Football West coaching or FFA coaching curriculum and going for their C licence. Isn't that great for football that we're keeping these boys in so they can pass the message on properly to the next generation?
I mean, we haven't sort of publicised this yet, guys, but I'm sure Don will be aware, but we're really proud of Dean and Reece because they're about to open a football centre.
Yep.
Which for us to see the boys progress and to see them develop and to hopefully have the rest of their lives involved in the game and to see them, have that confidence now to start their own business for us, it leaves us with immense pride. And, we're going to be disappointed that they're not going to be part of what we're doing. We really want to build on the relationship, but to see those boys flourish and develop is just a massive, massively proud moment for Barry and I.
So did you just say Reece as in Reece Williams?
Reece Batiglia.
Oh, sorry. Reece Williams on my mind now.
No, Reece Batiglia and Dean are both going in partnership to open up an indoor centre in Osborne Park called the Football Centre, and it'll be a different concept. And Miguel runs a fantastic operation with Area 5, and like we were chatting off air before, the more call it centres for activity that we have for our code, our game, the more we can more opportunities and more we can keep people interested in our game, that they say, oh, I can't play it, or there's nowhere to play it, it's too far away to play, so then they don't play it, they go to another sport. But with all these opportunities now coming, or these openings, as I said to Miguel, it gives a pathway for all these new ventures and businesses to interact together and support each other. And
that's a good point. We want people to be involved.
Correct.
Yeah, I think it's very important, and I speak to Miguel a lot on a Sunday morning after the soccer superhero session with Ella, and we speak all the time about partnerships, about being open and not seeing anybody as a threat. I think if you're really confident in what you're delivering and your philosophy, nobody should be a threat. You can all work together and achieve the one goal. And the one goal for us has always been, guys, to just make football a fun part of people's lives.
Yes.
Whether you're a parent, whether you're a coach, whether you're a child, let's make it really fun, really engaging, and wherever your football journey takes you, you've always got that football in your life, no matter what's going on.
Mark, can I ask, it's the conclusion of National Reconciliation Week this week, which is in recognition of Aboriginals and the contribution to programs, and when I'm talking football, so I'm thinking of numbers of Aboriginal kids coming through the sport. From your point of view, is there any change over like 10 or 20 or 30 years in Aboriginal kids coming through your programs or out there in the community that you've noticed? Just on a reflection for women's football, there's not a lot of Aboriginal kids, although back in the 80s there was and 90s there was a few Aboriginal women that were pretty darn good, and man, they're amazing athletes.
See, I was fortunate. I went to Darwin for a number of coaching trips when I first started MLFC, which is Martley Football Coaching, and Tim Hodgkinson organised me to go up, and I developed a great relationship with a club up there called the Mindle Aces.
Yep.
If you guys are up there.
Yep.
And the talent of Aboriginal kids up there was phenomenal. I just think, for us, we'd love to do more work, but there's just not enough days in the week at the minute, and trying to combine everything is really tough. But I think if you could really put a lot of work into those Indigenous communities, you could unearth a real gem. Whether they have that support and that family support, like I said, that's the toughest thing for those kids.
Yep.
But I think without a doubt, Penny, there's some outstanding talent in that area of the game that can be developed.
I think we're probably say about 20 years a bit late in getting into the Indigenous communities, because Aussie rules have really made a big impact.
They sure have.
Right, and they've thrown massive money.
Yep.
So the amount of money that gets thrown into Indigenous development by AFL is, you just won't believe it. I mean, I spoke to Kirby Bentley. She was a guest at a luncheon I went to during the week, the young lady who plays for the Fremantle Dockers women's team. Lovely lady, told us all about how much money gets thrown at Aussie rules. And she comes from an Indigenous community down in the southwest of WA where the crackers came from. The Aboriginal kids have almost like a DNA made for Aussie rules. It's a running, kicking, hands on ball. And so to get them to come to our code is almost like a cultural shift. And that's why it's going to be, I reckon, for us to make an impact in the Indigenous community will be a 10 to 20 year plan to actually start seeing, results and rewards.
Are you saying physically their athletic abilities are suited to AFL, whereas maybe they would need to adapt to soccer? Yeah, look, I mean, they are fantastic running players. They're highly skilled. They can weave in and out. I mean, they've got that ability. Yeah. Look, when I was watching the South Fremantle footy team, we had a whole lot of Aboriginal boys in the team. You followed the Bulldogs?
Yeah, I was a Bulldog from way back, and it's a long story, Pen. But just watching these boys, the Matiras were brought up on soccer because they were part Aboriginal, part Italian. So their father taught them how to play soccer first. That helped them weave in and out of packs in Aussie rules. So our code can teach their code things, and their code. I mean, for us, the only thing that our code could learn from Aussie rules is for goalkeepers how to catch and mark a ball, and be strong in the box, not having any fear when coming out to punch the ball, that sort of thing. But it's a long road, I think, for us to impact in the Indigenous community. But there are kids in the Indigenous community who do love our football, and if we can just slowly keep working on it. Mark, what do you think about it all?
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there, John. You said DNA, it's all part of the culture.
Yep.
And when, like us coming from England, myself from England, it's part of your culture. Your dad played it, your granddad played it, all of the kids in the street played it. So you started playing football. Whereas if you're in that community where all the guys are playing footy, you're going to follow your peers, you're going to play. So, like John said as well, the amount of money that's put into from the AFL is massive. And I know my time working at Football West, there's no comparison to how much money the AFL received compared to the FFA. So there's no comparison.
Mark, your comments on the number of visiting international clubs to Australia and the impact on the community here in football, can I have your thoughts on that?
It's a tough one, Penny, because it depends if they're making a difference. So Andy's been with us now. He works with the Under-9, the academy at Sunderland. He's doing a sports management degree. He used to play for Sunderland, and he got released as a third-year pro. Now, Andy's been over and he's made a difference to everybody he's spoken to and every kid he coaches. I think if you just come and do like a week's clinic and the kids get a kit and listen, that's great. That's wonderful, but I think anybody can do that. I think if clubs come over and there's longevity in the projects that they're doing, I think it's wonderful. But again, I think it works both ways. I think it works both ways for a kid to go to, a Real Madrid, a Tottenham, a Barcelona camp, to have that experience. That's a memory that's going to last with them forever. So as long as it's done right, Penny, I think it's it can only be good for the game. I
like the partnerships too, like you said there, that he's coming here and he might talk about his experience with football in another country, and he might wear his shirt and he's got an accent, so that's attractive, and the kids are going to listen. They're going to be curious to that. Well, if that was partnered up with, say, a club here that might have some affiliation or something that's the same.
I think a lot of clubs in the past have sort of partnered up with teams for the wrong reasons. I think they said we're partnering up with whoever and we're going to get kids professional contracts, which in the grand scheme of things that's a massive ask, and it's a lot of false promises, and that's why they've failed in the past.
Yeah.
Like we have links. Don will tell you when Dean came back on tour, we have all these wonderful links, and all it takes now for if a kid here shows promise and he's got that European passport and maybe things aren't happening for him here with Glory or with getting into an institute of sports, we can provide that link. And it's as simple nowadays, Penny, as an email or a phone call from us to say, listen, we've got a young man coming over, can you take a look at him? And it's so easy to do that now. So, for example, on Monday, there's a young man called Jacob Young who came on our tours back to England. He's at Sunderland now. He's got a 6-year contract. Stuart Young's son.
Yeah, Stuart's boy.
Yeah, so Jacob's coming up on Monday. So the kids do a tournament, they can identify with Jacob. He's been in a pro football training. He's played for Manchester City. He's been part of the NTC and the Glory Youth. And it just gives kids real hope.
I suppose I think about some of the teams that are visiting here. I mean, we've got the World Cup qualifiers, and we've got Brazil and Argentina, and we've had Liverpool, Manchester United, various other teams come and go, the International Challenge Cups or kind of cups, whatever they're called. You know, they come and they go, and a lot of money exchanges hands, a lot of shirts exchange hands. And then I think of the A-League's mantra, which was, who's your team? And I think, okay, how does that fit into the football community here? If we're bringing in these amazing clubs into our community, but we're trying to establish our own Australian identity in football, how do we link that? How do we partner up in some way? How do we develop a profile so when they visit, then we can benefit from that? What's the answer?
I think you've got, how long have you got for sure?
That is a long one, Pen. You can't answer that. You can't answer that in one brief, because I mean, look, I think what they're trying to do is get people to expand their, you know, you've got your one club, but you know, I've got 5 clubs around the world that I support, you know, so I've got one in the Bundesliga, I've got one in the Serie A, I've got one in the EPL, I've got an Aussie rules team in the Waffle here. So I think what they're trying to do is say, you know, get out there and follow the world game in a world manner, rather than just be, you know, because in Australia we've always had like a blinkered point of view, and that's why, you know, football here has been hard to grow, because it's very protective here of the Australian rules cultural game that was made for this country.
But there was probably an experience, you said 5 different clubs, there was probably an experience you can associate with each of those 5 different things that made that your team.
Correct.
Forever.
Yes.
So I wonder how many people here in Australia would say about an A-League club what experience it was that helped them cement that club as their team.
For the kids, it might be Castro. It might be Diego Castro. The kids of today saying, I had the time. I was blessed to be around when Diego Castro was just the magician of the A-League.
Yep.
So that, you know, and that's why it's so important to actually have, you know, like a superstar Del Piero over in Sydney, and you know, you need to have these guys. So I don't know, Mark, you know, we want to develop our own. We want to make sure, and on that development note, you know, it's pretty tough, you know, for kids to get out of Australia into call it world football, unless you've got, you know, you've got to have visas in place. You've got to have, you know, your family almost have to be either dual citizens of another country. It's tough for Australian kids. So if you're an Australian-born kid and you want to go overseas and play, what's the age when they actually allow them to go over and trial? I think is it 18, 19, 20, somewhere around there, Mark? It's almost too late.
Yeah, I think when there's another young man called Costa Sparta that Dean did a lot of one-on-ones with when he was coming back from England. He's at Reading now, guys, so he's a little bit different from Jake, because his mum and dad, Paul and Susie, and his sister, they all moved over to England. So he's now in the second year of his scholarship, but they had that European passport. So like Don said, it's nigh on impossible for a kid to now go overseas unless you have that European UK passport. And I think it's very important as well, like you said, with our identity here in Australia. Yes, you want to try and keep the best kids here, but there's not that many opportunities for them. You know, Reece and Dean went through the Glory Youth, but how many were part of that squad done on a year-by-year basis? And if you don't get into the Glory and you don't get in the Institute of Sport, which is now, you know, it looks like that's going to fold, it's tough for kids. So I think it's, you know, why shouldn't we encourage kids, or why shouldn't kids pursue opportunities in Asia or opportunities
in other forms of the sport even? And we've been talking a lot lately about alliances, and Miguel in Area 5 and the mini football and the futsal, and even last week we had the assistant national coach of the women's team in, who'd just been away at the Women's World Cup in the IFA. I don't know if you've heard about that, Mark, but it's the I think it's the International Futsal Alliance. So FIFA, who have futsal under their mandate, don't actually organise a Women's World Cup. So all these countries who had some form of organisation of women's five-a-side got together and did this alliance and had a World Cup in Spain. So, you know, some parts they're saying this is the growth part, but they're not yet in the fold. So people are doing things regardless. Now, I think that was one great example of people in different countries, had the different associations, got together, talked about it, and formed an international competition. So having opportunities available, like you provide with the pro football training and develop your partnerships with the English clubs, means that players here aren't quite knowing what to do, or can't get there themselves, have an opportunity. They have another opportunity that's not a Football West and not a Football Federation Australia to get where they want to.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think as well, you know, we spoke a lot, but a lot of the conversations I hear and a lot of the publicity, it seems to be all, and correct me if you think I'm wrong, but it's all based towards the elite all the time. And I think, you know, obviously Miguel's got Area 5, and Miguel has guys of all different ages, all different abilities, all different shapes and sizes, from different backgrounds, all getting together to play a game they love. And I think here in Australia, if we can really focus, for want of a better term, making the worst players better, then it's just going to have a knock-on effect, and we're going to produce more elite players. But I think, you know, you speak a lot about the NPL, and a young child described the NPL to me 4 or 5 weeks ago. He asked me what I thought it stood for, and if I'd heard of it. I said, yeah, I hear about it every single day from parents who are sort of disgruntled by it and how the kids are treated. And this young man said, Mark, the NPL to me, for my situation, it's the National Pressure League.
That's it.
You know, Don might have spoke to Dean about we get really sad at sessions because we see children really expressing themselves and taking themselves out of their comfort zone and trying some outrageous, really expressive things on the ball because they know that they're not going to be shouted and yelled at. And the amount of times we hear kids saying, I can't do this at my club. I can't try this on a Sunday morning, which is so sad to hear. Yet you have someone like Andy that came from Sunderland, and all Andy speaks about is expressing yourself, trying your tricks, playing with freedom, taking yourself out of your comfort zone, and this is coming from a professional environment.
And maybe,
go on, sorry, mate.
Yeah, Mark, I was just going to say maybe that might change with the amount of lads that are going through the C licence process now, who are, and I really think the coaching aspect at clubs is, you know, you've unfortunately you can't get everybody being a qualified coach. So you get the dad impact, or you know, call it the uncle who wants to be, you know, the next big thing in coaching in the under 8s, and you know, it's all about win and all that. So you do get that, a lot of that. But when I see names like in the C licence, names like Jamie Coyne, Dean Evans, Brent Griffiths, Ross Millard, Dan Spasesky, Reece Vertiglia, Alex Vitesky, Aaron Williams, Ryan Williams, Mark Wignall, Dale Wignall, Vlad Beretovac, Sean Billam, Kim Carroll, when I see those sorts of names going for the licences, I'm thinking the future is looking good in terms of the right people getting that message across. And at the moment, you guys are providing a great service, you know, for parents who need their kids to actually come down a peg and enjoy the sport rather than lose them because you've got someone barking at them at their club.
Guys, just before, I've received a heap of text messages while you've been chatting on the phone, Mark. So I'm just going to read a few. Still haven't seen the ladder of the NPL advertised in the sports section of a West Australian newspaper. How hard can it be? Football West need to do something. Okay. I think,
point taken.
I think I get that message every week.
Yeah, point
Come
taken.
on.
Yeah, we've got to have it somewhere.
He plays for Real Madrid and the world knows him as Ronaldo the Great, but he won't score against Juventus when they meet in the European Champions League final on the 3rd of June, for Juventus are the greatest defenders of our galaxy. Forza Juve, okay. Rogic, Moy, Cahill, Leckie, Luongo, Sainsbury, Truisi, mate, this Socceroo team is starting to rival the legendary team of 2006. Go Aussie.
Well said.
Okay, and wow, okay. True long term is what football must be about, the right reason to bring the best out of a child and guide them, and the rest is up to their mental, and this is where you have a role to play from the beginning. Football is global, and each individual or country brings its experience, and this is what leads us to world football, a style, watching a country, the world within football. Very good.
Gee, lots of people with great opinions out there, so thank you for all those messages.
Definitely. Yeah. And your thoughts, Mark? The Socceroo squad has been whittled down to 23 for the upcoming World Qualifiers. I don't know if you know who's in the squad, but in there, what conflict of Ange Postecoglou's philosophy has been, you've got to be performing, you've got to be at a club that's giving you constant game time, and then Robbie Cruz is in there. I know that guy's got a lot of talent, but I'm not sure he's had consistent play time in the last nth number of years, but he's in the squad. What's your thoughts, Mark?
I think you have to trust the most successful national coach here in Australia. You know, I think that's the wonderful thing about football. Everybody has an opinion.
Yep.
It's very, very hard to please everybody. It's nigh on impossible. And I think, you know, someone like Ange, who's, you know, so much success, you have to trust the guy.
Yep.
And back the national team and support them in any which way you can.
Yeah.
And like you guys do, just support the development of the game and really see it flourish. I've certainly seen it take off. I've been in Australia now for 40 years and I'm blessed to call Australia home. It's been wonderful. Myself, Marianne, and my 2 little boys, and it's been wonderful for me personally from a footballing point of view, and I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing today, certainly if it wasn't for how Australia's treated me. So we're part of this amazing nation. Get behind it, support it. And if Robbie Cruz plays well, great. If he doesn't, you know what, in Perth the sun's going to shine the next day, so it's going to be happy for everybody.
Now, you've stayed on the line longer than I expected you to, so does that mean you don't have any coaching you have to nick off to right now? Because we'll keep talking otherwise, you know.
No, I'm fine. No, I'm fine. Whatever, any other questions you've got for me or any opinions I can share, please fire away.
Well, I did. One final thing was that the free-to-air, there was an article that came out this week about free-to-air football, and we'll let you go after this one. It was just talking about how after the after the World Cup qualifiers conclude and the next A-League season starts, that we'll see free-to-air football, like the A-League, on a regular basis, which is great for football here. So I just wanted to mention that to everybody.
Yeah, I mean, isn't it fantastic? My little boy Daniel, who, bless him, when he was 2 or 3, didn't like football at all. I always thought he didn't like football because his dad was out the house and taking him away. But now the little man's obsessed, and we can watch football 24/7. It's just a wonderful thing for the kids growing up now, and people say, oh, it was better in my day, and the kids don't play as much. And I think it's a load of nonsense. I think kids have a wonderful opportunity here to play the game, and they've got access, and they can.
Fantastic facilities too.
Wonderful.
Yeah, the facilities that they've got here in Australia are sensational. Outdoor, indoor, you name it. The kids are spoiled.
Yeah. But as well, everybody's been brought up in football. You play anywhere, Don. You don't need the best facilities. Yes, we have got wonderful facilities, but the kids, if they really fall in love with the ball, they will play anywhere.
Correct.
Mark, we will let you go. We're going to have a chat to Miguel and about mini football and the World Cup that's coming up here. But appreciate your time today. Thank you very much.
No worries, guys. Listen, thanks for your call. Really appreciate it. Keep on with the wonderful work. And Miguel, make sure you're ready for tomorrow morning, because you're going to get a workout at some stage.
I was born ready, Mark. That's the best thing.
Well done, Mark.
Mate.
All the best, Mark.
Thanks, Mark. See ya.
You too. See you, mate.
See you, mate.
That was Mark Lee from Pro Football Training. Always a pleasure to catch up with him. Always a global view on the development of the game and inclusion and partnerships. Love it. We might go to a quick break and we'll come back and chat more football. This is Penn and Miguel and Don, and back to all.
Are you considering data and software development? From a simple website to custom office automation software, phone Andy at DataPlats on 0414 263 938. That's 0414 263 938. Station sponsor.
The World Football Program welcomes the Australian Mini Football Federation onto Radio Fremantle. Join the growing numbers playing non-traditional forms of football at any of the Area 5 centres around Perth. Find out more on ozminifootball.com. Station sponsor.
Rachel Pepper, illustration and design for print and web. Contact Rachel at rachelpepper.com. Station sponsor.
Gate Fence Hardware WA are your local business, supplying materials, components and parts for fencing and gates. Practical and simple how-to advice by our family. Products shipped anywhere. Visit our online store at gateandfencehardware.com.au. Station sponsor.
Play football is a great experience. There's nothing like that.
Belonging to a team feels great.
Your teammates is like your brother. You have to do everything for them, and they have to do the same for you.
It's a good way to stay fit and have a good time with your friends.
I spend my life with soccer. There's nothing like it.
I just love playing football.
Have fun, make friends, and keep active. Play football. Play football is a great experience.
Hi, I'm Penny, producer and host of the World Football Program. You're listening to Radio Fremantle 107.9 FM. 2017 is the show's 30th year on air, talking football on community radio. Thank you, Radio Fremantle, for giving local football a voice for the last 3 decades. The World Football Program on 107.9 FM. We're back. This is Penny, Don and Miguel talking all things football. And one of the things that I'm conscious that I go out of my way to do in the last couple of years is to bring all the forms of football to the table here so that everyone has a voice. And it has meant a de-emphasis on some forms of the game. I've noticed that because depending on which guest we come into the studio, we talk futsal, we talk school sports, we talk NPL, we talk women's football, and there's more parts in greater profile with Football West. There's more money being put into some forms of the game, FFA and Cup and all these kind of things, but they all make up the game. So as far as I'm concerned, whatever you bring to the table, it's all good to chat about.
Give everyone a voice, Pen.
Absolutely, yeah. Bring it on as far as I'm concerned.
That's it.
And one of the definite biggest parts of the growing game that is growing is mini football, futsal, alternate forms of football in centres, five-a-sides, that kind of thing. And hence, Miguel, no doubt your area of football is growing. I hope it's growing outside of your expectations. That's what you want as a businessman, of course.
Yeah, well, we just want to grow football, in general. So there's a lot of people out there that actually don't want to play 11-a-side. They want to play just something quick and easy. So that's what the facilities are up for, Area 5 and all these venues coming along. So
and when we've talked about school sports and the collaboration they've made with Football West now, and that brings all of the referees and the kids playing football under one umbrella, so to speak. We want to hopefully do that with all the other forms of football, like the non-traditional 5-a-side, 6-a-side, 7-a-side, whatever. I mean, I think that makes our football better overall. What do you think it brings to the game if mini football joins up and partners up with all those other parts?
Oh, it will be great. Like the good thing from mini football or futsal or any small-sided football is it's actually a complement to 11-a-side. Like I get all these players that come and play in Area 5, right? And they start playing there. You probably see them and their skills are not the greatest. But after a season, after 15 weeks, you see the improvement of their football, like, massively.
And their touch.
And everything. Yeah. Touch, the way the way to think, the way to move the ball around, not mucking around too much, just
playing it seriously.
Exactly. So I have all these players that come to Area 5 and they actually, instead of going to train, they actually use playing there to train. Because they say, this for us is a better training than going just to a training session with our club.
And they're using a ball, Miguel.
Yeah, that's right. And it's not because the club is doing a bad thing on the way that they coach. Yeah. It's just the way of small-sided training or
more touches on the ball for a starter.
That's right.
Yep.
So whenever you go out to the pitch, and I always tell this to the players, it's like, if you play 11-a-side and you come play here, after you go back to play 11-a-side,
it's easier.
It's like it's like a walk in the park.
You got so much room to deliver the ball.
You have more time. You have more room. Your mentality of thinking is quicker and it's faster. So by the time you play in 11-a-side, you grab the ball and you already know what you're doing.
Yep.
And if you just keep playing 11-a-side, your mentality keeps in that same flow all the time.
Yes.
But when you start changing that, then you see the results.
I totally agree with you because you're playing in a compact space and you've got to react quicker, you've got to think quicker, and you've got to make decisions quicker. And then your skills have to be good enough to make to actually get the ball moving in the right direction. So your skills have to improve as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's so inclusive too. And we talk about the mini football aspect for our game and the mini roos, roo ball. Then mini roos, I think it's still split into the two, with some clubs having in-house competitions of the age 5 to 9 where it's 5-a-side at one venue, and then they go to what is now the oldie mini roos, which is greater numbers until they get to, I think, the age of 13, then it's full pitch. So we're getting the kids as many touches on the ball as possible in a mini-sided game, having fun, and it's all about encouraging them to have fun. Adults can do exactly the same thing.
Yeah. How about the playing surface, Miguel, just for the people that don't know what the Area 5 concept's all about? What type of turf do the boys play on, or the boys and girls, sorry?
Well, it's just AstroTurf, it's FIFA Star Proof, whatever they call it now. And everybody can wear their molded boots there. So it's basically like playing outdoor.
Yeah.
Well, it's actually playing outdoor but in a synthetic pitch, so you can still wear your moldies, because a lot of people goes, it's going to be very slippery. Well, no, if you bring your boots, you're fine.
You're fine.
It's like if you go and play in the grass in sneakers or in futsal shoes. Of course, it's gonna be slippery. It's normal. It's part of it.
Wear the right footwear, and you'll be right. But the thing I say when I was at Stirling running the club, I used to say to the coaches, look. At times when the team is struggling, when the mentality is poor, do something different. Don't just keep coaching them the way you coach them. Take them somewhere else. And I used to say, go do an indoor session. Go and have a few games and let the boys go and have fun again.
Absolutely.
And that's what I think the indoor concept or the futsal concept is all about. It is more enjoyable. It's not hard work.
It is not.
So that's important.
Look, with my years here in Australia, it's been 6 years now, and I've been experiencing, because I've been coaching with Subiaco, MPLs as assistant coach, and I can see the development of the kids. Like the kids that I started coaching them on the 12s, and now they're like the ones going to Gothia or even older.
Yeah.
They even come to me, and just because they trained in the Rosalie Park, but I always was saying to the coach, we need to coach them as well here in Area 5. Not because I want them to come to Area 5 and promote my business. It's not that. These kids are going to become better kids, and this is going to help them in the future. And I have all these kids that are now, playing they're 16 or 15, and they're playing on the 18s now. Because of that.
Technically, they're able to.
Yeah. So, and they come to me and they say, Miguel, you're the best coach ever, mate. I'm like, well, I didn't do much, I just told you what to do here and there. But it's like, mate, my skills and everybody says, these guys, they're like, the top scorer of the MPL and this and that. And it's amazing to hear from them and come and say thank you for,
positive feedback.
That's right.
Fantastic.
It's fantastic. And I'm seeing it now more and more and more. Like now we have a lot of clubs, like we have East Perth Soccer Club. Yep. Is it East Perth? This Irish group of players.
Yep.
And they train in their facilities, but once a week they come to train in Area 5, and they're becoming better and better and better and better. And it's consistently, and they have one team in their competition there, because they use it as training as well. So it's okay. Look, these guys, they're gonna go and train at Area 5 in the competition, while with the others we train over here. And it's been a lot of progression. We have them. We have Chris Brady. Chris Brady, So he came with the whole with the whole Kingsley.
Yep.
They hired the whole facility in Wanneroo, and you could I have that little soccer tennis picture we just did over there, right? And it was amazing to see how it's just like a 2 or 3v3. It was like 6 on 6, and they were just like having a ball. It was like something different. They were having so much fun. They were enjoying the training, because it's not only serious. Come on, straight here like that. Blah, blah, blah. It's like, come and have fun. We're training, but we're gonna have fun.
Yes.
And it actually changes the whole aspect and the whole idea of the players. It's just amazing.
Can I just read a few messages?
Yeah,
sorry that you keep coming in. Okay, Miguel, I totally agree. It's true of the attacking game of style. Oh my God. What about playing like street football? After all, isn't five-a-side the street football, and the surface can just be like
concrete?
Yeah, you want to develop it and then allow for what is available.
Street football anybody can do street football.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be organised. All you need to do
is
just get on the
street. Playing on a street, it could be just playing on anywhere.
Well, that's how I learned in the streets in Mexico.
Yep.
Like, I played in the concrete all my life. We even, if we didn't have a ball, we used to cut all the notebook paper, make a ball and tape it at the end, and that was our ball.
Yes. Why not?
Even if we didn't have a ball, we needed to play football, And
you made do with whatever you could.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of it, street football, why not? What do you want to play with? You put a rock, it doesn't really matter,
Have fun.
And that's how I learned. Like back home, like I see all these places, beautiful places here where people play football. And it's just amazing ovals,
We are spoiled.
I don't know if you had these done, but like in in Mexico, when I used to play, it's like, oh, we're going to go and play 11-a-side. Oh, where? On this pitch. I'm like, oh, my God, I don't want to go there.
Yeah.
You go there, it was like, there's no grass.
Yeah.
It was just sand and rocks.
Yep.
And you don't want to go and play there because you didn't want to trip and hit your head and, open your head with a rock. And that's just how we play.
You certainly want to play standing up, no slide tackle.
That's
so
right.
Skills,
Oh, well, no, the worst thing is like everybody slide tackle and everybody goes hard,
Really?
Oh, my God, it was shocking. Like, listen,
ouch.
In the final, we had to run away because these guys were throwing us the rock and everything because they lost. And we're like, we were like, oh my God, let's get in the truck, let's go. Like it was static.
It's so true, Pen. Like I mean, in my growing up years, I had the benefit of an uncle of mine, the Tom Beatties family, who owned the bakery, a modern bakery it was called, in Herdsman. And us kids used to be call it the runners for the bread carters. So in those days, there'd be the delivery man, who was my uncle, and I'd be sitting as a wingman and picking up the bit of bread and running to the house and putting it in the bread basket out the front, leaving the bill or picking up the money, bringing it back, and good old uncle was just the driver counting the cash. But us kids, before it was time to go on delivery mode, we'd all get together and we'd have a game of football in the courtyard on concrete, and using a shed as a goal. We'd actually draw up, an actual goal on this shed, and on the other side we just put two posts up in a paddock, and so half was concrete, half was paddock, and we used to run, and that was our warm up before we went and delivered the bread.
That tells me there was no TV, no phones, no internet.
That's the beauty.
We just loved playing the game.
Creativity. Love it. Now, Miga, tell us what's happening with the World Cup. Have we got an Australian team sorted to...
No, not yet. So we had to push all dates back because initially the World Cup was going to be in August, but because the European Championships are just a few days away, then the guys from the World Mini Football said, oh, look, let's just push it back because we're just going to be finishing basically European Championships, and then we have to go and fly to Tunisia, blah, blah, blah. And they were like, oh, no, it's going to be too much. And all these teams that are coming here, they're also going to the World Cup, so it's going to be a little bit of a hassle for the players, blah, blah, blah. So we pushed everything. So the finals, we're going to do them in first week of September in Sydney. And we're still organizing Melbourne because we were not going to do Melbourne at the end of the day, but now we are kind of like, okay, let's just do it, but let's work out with the teams what's the story and blah, blah, blah. But
okay, so what I'm hearing from you is there's a World Cup, which is...
in October. No, sorry, first week of November is going to be.
When the name World Cup is said, people think international stage, lots of people, profile, publicity. However, I'm hearing from you that in Australia this is kind of new.
Yeah, it's very new.
You're laying down the foundations to get to that World Cup is something we're going through.
It's very new. It's the first year we're starting to do like nationals and like regionals and all that. So it's very hard for us because everything's new. So people hear about it and they're like, oh, what is that? And then people is kind of scared, like, well, why did we sign up and this is not real? And it's like, and we get that, a lot of people say, well, what's that?
I can tell you, if you go onto YouTube and you search up mini football Europe, man,
it's massive.
It's massive. There's a lot of money, there's a lot of colours, a lot of TV coverage. There's amazing amounts of everything in it.
It's like the 11-a-side, like the FIFA World Cup, whatever. It's the same, it's just in small-sided. You have the LED screens around, you have the cheerleaders in the middle of the pitch, they have fireworks, they have, sponsors, and they have all these sitting for people, and they have commentators, and they have all these TV coverage.
Is there a professional pathway so players can aspire to be a part of a professional league somewhere?
In Australia there's no professional league of mini football quite yet. That we're working on it, but in Europe it's pretty big. It's very big. But being a professional mini football team, right? It doesn't mean that you have to be you used to be a professional player or you're a professional player now. This is pro-am, it's amateur. You don't have to be a professional player to play in a professional team of mini football. If you got great skills, awesome, that's even better for the team.
Yeah.
But this is more focused into the community people that, they want to have a little bit of that. They have a lot of fun, but they want to have a little bit of that, how does it feel to be in the national team of this, But you don't have to be like, I'll have to bring the best players of Australia here. No, you see that in Europe. I mean, they're probably not the best players of Germany, or they're not the best players of England, or they're not the best players of Italy. You know, it's just community people that they have the skills, they're passionate about football, they love football, and they just want to have that next feeling that how does it feel to be in there, you know, in the big stage, basically.
We talked about other football centres setting up, and you know, there's the competition at the WA Futsal Centre in Bibra Lake. There's the football. What's the Dean's program setting up? The football centre. The football centre.
TFC.
And there's what's the other one? The West Coast Futsal, and all those kind of things. And we are talking about connecting, working together in some ways to benefit football, and the benefit is to football.
Look, it's networking. Yeah. The word's networking, and the sooner that all our football people out there in the community, and I'm talking about club level, I'm talking about administration, I'm talking about regional, I'm talking about national. If everyone gets on the bandwagon of let's network together to make our game great, we won't be thinking selfishly about let's just make our club great or my business great. It's not about one business, it's the business of football. We are all in it. Let's all support each other.
Exactly.
There's not an end to this.
No, never.
No.
And it will never be until all this we're talking about happens.
Yeah. Well, and then it just goes on in a different manner.
And the only way to do it is somebody needs to do it to prove this is working.
That's right.
Well, you know how hard I've been trying to do this, you know, and it's just a battle.
Yeah.
You know,
but look at Mark Lee. He started from a small beginning too, and now you know he's got a business that is well respected.
Still, the program's still up in a snap.
It's done and dusted.
Yeah.
So if you're doing something good, you will only succeed because there's too much demand.
Yeah.
The people out there love our game.
Absolutely.
So what you've got to do is give them something that they want to be part of.
Absolutely.
Enjoyable.
Yeah.
No, I totally agree. Penny's like, oh, you have a lot of work to do there, Miguel. I'm like, yeah, well, and then sometimes I'm like I'm very into it, like very positive, and I'm very very keen. And then sometimes I'm like, you know, like if I'm hanging the clothes all the time in my house, and I'm just thinking, I'm like, what am I doing, mate? Maybe I should just quit tomorrow and see you later. No, nothing more, Miguel. Miguel disappears from the football stage, and that's it. I don't want to know anything about it. And then I'm like, no.
But you know, the biggest thing...
I think you're trying to do something good there.
Like all the brilliant people like Miguel and all the people out there that are doing things within our football community, the warning that I put up for everyone is always manage your growth. Don't grow to the point where you can't control that beautiful environment that you've created. Yeah. So once it becomes like something that is no longer an enjoyable part of your life, where it's actually a chore, you know, not a chore, but it becomes like, oh my God, how am I going to? I have to employ new people and like new coaches. I've got to have. Are those people around? Have we got the right people within our, call it in our game's growth or in our the football business's growth? So really, we've got to say, okay, once you get to a certain level, just maintain that level.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. That's the thing.
Before we let you go, the growth area for you is, what do we need to identify as capturing more of in your marketplace, in your mini football? What do you want to see grow more?
Well, look, what I want to see more than anything is the youth enjoying it and actually be aware of not going only and train to their club to the level in a side pitch and thinking, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. Yeah, I agree, it's a good thing, but if at that age you start playing mini football or futsal or whatever, any small-sided type of football, by the time they're 18, they're going to be
a well-rounded soccer player.
Even better. You know, and that's what we're trying to create here. We get all these adults coming to play, and we get all these girls now coming down to play, and now we're having, I'm not going to mention from which clubs, we have all these young kids coming down to play actually in our venues, right? And they come and you can see them there. They have a lot of talent, but because the game is so quick and they're not used to that quick touch and quick stopping the ball, they're like, oh my God, this is a little bit harder. But I could see them progressing with this, like, now I just
adapting.
I'm finishing the season. We finished the season this week. We're starting a new season tomorrow in all Area 5s, right? And we have 2 new teams of 16, 17, 18s from soccer clubs joining, and they're like, oh, our mates told us how, and we realized how good they are now. Like after those 15 weeks they played with you, their skills become so much better, and they think quicker, and they get faster, and then start. And all the kids want that. You know, they say, well, these guys are progressing. They're doing something right. We want to do it as well. We want to, you know, we want to be there. We want to do this. We want to do that. You know, like we just don't want to be. You can't enclose a player to just go and play 11-a-side. And this is as a personal experience. When I used to play back home, I played every day, Monday to Sunday. I played 11-a-side. I played 7-a-side.
Your mum would have had something to say.
6-a-side.
Did your homework get done?
Well, yeah, but not very good. But, you know, like, I played everywhere, every day, and it was just amazing. And all types, even in the street, you know, we're going to play soccer here, boom, let's go.
You
we're
have
gonna
some
play
work
that
to do, young man. Now, we're going to have to let you go.
That's it.
We've got our next guest coming in to talk more football.
Just one more thing.
Go for it.
All the listeners out there, if you want to come and play 5-a-side, come down to Area 5. We start new season next week, and I will guarantee you your skills will get better. And even soccer clubs, just, you know, bring your teams down there, come and train there, join a league. You will see the changes and the growth of their touch and the way they think of how to play football.
How do they get in touch with Area 5, Miguel? What's the easiest way for listeners out there?
They can get on the area5football.com website or on the Facebook page.
Yep.
Or they can give me a call on 0405 037 857.
Plug done.
Thanks for coming in.
No, thank you for the invite, and I'm pretty sure we'll see you guys again.
Yeah, we'll talk more football. Glad to see that you got a good all-round football knowledge. It's great to have you in and have a chat.
Also, maybe by September I'll give you a surprise to all the listeners out there.
Sounds good.
Can't wait.
We're going to come back and talk more football in a few minutes with the South Coast Baptist College. This is Pen and Don and Miguel.
I prefer that my parents, if I play bad, don't say anything. And if I play well, it doesn't really matter if they compliment me on how I play. I just I don't know, I prefer my parents to, not talk as much.
I can hear them cheering me on, and I'm thinking in my head, just shut it, I'm trying to focus.
My mom yells in Spanish, go, go, go.
My mom just says, use the backboard. You should use the backboard. I get angry because it annoys me. I'm kind of embarrassed. She tells me to get in the position that my coach told me not to get in. I'm like, well, no. And then she's like, get in your position. I'm like, no.
I get a little tense when I have a certain score to get, and she's like, you gotta get that whatever score. And I'm like, I don't like it when they try to push me even more, even though I'm trying really, really hard.
Coming from the coach's mouth is kind of better, I feel like, because your parents are there to support you and your coach is there to help you, you know?
You just start screaming, Valentina, run faster, make a basket. But I just start going slower every time when she says that.
The other people were like, wow, that mom is really wanting her kid to win.
In my inside, you can't see it, but I'm inside saying, be quiet, be quiet, be quiet. Sometimes I just look into space.
I try to listen to them and then do what they say to so they don't start yelling again.
I don't really want them to give me that much advice because then I forget it all.
Sometimes I get nervous
when they yell and nobody else is yelling. Sometimes it can embarrass me, a lot.
Wait. What's going on? We're just trying to do this, but you want us to try harder?
Well, I am.
I'm not going into a game not trying my hardest. That'd be messed up.
Yeah, it's a lot of pressure. Sometimes when they try to get the ball in basketball, you kind of think in your head that they're kind of gonna push you and you're gonna fall and hurt yourself.
They don't need to always be like telling me what to do like every minute of the game. They kind of just gotta let me play.
I love when you say like really nice. I got it, Mom.
I'd like to look back and I'd like to see you like smile or like give me a thumbs up.
Mom, I wish you would be a little bit quieter. Say like you play good and like you couldn't get them next time.
When they smile and say like good job. Mom and Dad, thank you for loving me.
I love being my supporter.
When I'm upset, my mom and Dad cheer me up.
Sometimes I forget about all the work that they do for me.
Be my biggest fan.
We need to level up. I want you to know
I need big hugs.
I love the snacks for you bring me. It makes me happy when you always encourage me.
Thank you, Mom and Dad.
Please just be my mom and dad. Yep, that's it.
Playing football.
Welcome back. Sorry about that influx into the studio. Big football community sitting in front of all the microphones now. Sorry about that, everyone.
Miguel off the bench and replaced by a full house.
Interchange. So we've got the South Coast Baptist College, and talking about their football program, there's a stack of guys in the studio, and of which I'm going to start with Steve. So, Steve, I'm not quite sure how to pronounce your surname. This is new. Go for it.
Yeah, Stephen Postuma from South Coast Baptist College. So I'm the Director of Football there.
And next to you we've got...
Yeah, it's Des Mitchell. I'm the Principal of South Coast Baptist College.
Fantastic. And coming up the rear is...
Yeah, I'm Matthew Brook, and I run the football there.
Okay, fantastic. All right, so this is... The college program is totally new to probably a lot of listeners out there, so who's going to kick off and describe the program, how it started, and what it's about?
Okay, well, as a principal of the college, I came across Stephen Postuma's passion. We thought about what the local language is. The local language is football. School is about keeping it real, and so character and competency exist in the same place. We want to see kids grow in a real way, to be accountable for their actions on the field as well as off the field. So it's real life. It was a perfect fit for us.
Fantastic. And the catchment area and how you work in with the local community?
Well, the catchment area is started out in the immediate Rockingham precinct, but as we've discovered, the attractiveness of the program has taken students as far away as Joondalup, and we actually see ourselves as having a role both for the state, and we've got an interest in becoming part of the global community.
And can this grow within the Baptist community? So you end up being the the first school that brought it out, but then it mushrooms into other satellites around the state.
Yeah, it has a potential to grow. Our interest is in honouring the families that are with us now, and we've already got over 200 young people involved in the program. It could branch out, but our focus at this point in time is just to honour the families that are with us.
How does that fit into the football community of specialist soccer programs? I'm going to say soccer because we do talk about AFL and that's football as well. So soccer, there's John Curtin, there's Morley, there's a lot of programs already out there. How does it fit or work with those?
Okay, well, I'm going to hand across to Stephen. I'm a no-net rugby player.
Yeah, for sure. So I suppose our passion is to be part of that football community, or soccer community, I should say. So we've just started now. We've only been going, just over 2 years. And our aim is to certainly be part of that specialist program, the academies.
Yep.
And from there, hopefully, we're able to engage with the local schools to build a pathway for the players to play, as they all say, play professionally.
Give us an idea of how many students are involved in the specialist program you supply.
Yeah. So like Des says, over 200.
Yep.
We have from year 3 to year 12, so boys and girls.
Yep.
We've just engaged this year with year 3 to 6. But last year, 2015 we started, and we had started with year 7 and year 8 and year 9, and we pulled from the local community. We were really blessed to have probably the connections like Matthew Brook, James Young, Paul Wozni, who helped establish us in the local community because of their background.
Yep.
They were based at some local clubs and also other schools, and we saw an opportunity there to bring them in as specialists, and then from them they'd be able to then grow like they are teachers, but a program which is quite unique.
And do the kids that you have, the majority of them playing with local clubs as well, or they're strictly playing with the school?
Yeah, no, definitely. Great question. For us, our aim is to support club football and to hopefully see some Socceroos and Matildas come out of this.
Great.
So certainly not. It's not a model that, say like the PSA system is a bit different. That's certainly not our ambition to have internal. It's more to support club football.
Yeah, great.
Can I ask, of the 200 or so students that are they're football orientated, so how many in the actual school?
Yeah, I'll let Des.
Yeah, that's a good question to ask us each year. At the moment, we're growing by 100 students a year.
Wow.
So at the moment, there's 920 students in the year this year. But we also have a childcare centre, so if we were to add those on, there'd be over 1,000. And, with a bit of cheeky intention, once out of nappies, if they can start to move a ball forward, we're very interested in their progress.
And Des, I was chatting before about managing growth and making sure the quality of service that you provide is consistent and able to keep satisfied customers coming to the school. What do you see as your ceiling for the school and basically saying, okay, we can't go any further than this?
Yeah, so we have a master plan. We're working to 1,300 students, and we're on track. In fact, we're exceeding the growth at the moment. This is our third year of growing by 100 students. We're already on track for up to another 120 next year. But change management is critical. Most important and the fundamental guiding categorical imperative is the well-being of our students. So for them, it's actually all about their well-being, and that's where the football program is just such a neat fit.
I was going to ask Steve and Matthew here, that he looks like he's still playing football, I reckon. What background, boys? Where did you basically learn your craft on the football park?
Yeah, well, Matt certainly has a longer resume than I do. I was probably university. I was playing for Stirling Macedonia, played Swan IC. And Coburn, but certainly no reputation in the local community. But got the privilege of probably travelling overseas, seeing the world. Spent time teaching in London, playing over there, in Canada, America, but also spent a good part in Africa. So appreciating the world game that it is.
Yeah, good stuff. Your days at Stirling Massey's, was Rod De Silva playing there?
Sterling, man.
Yeah, sorry, it's close to my heart, good old Stirling.
Yeah, no, they were brief. It was good, but they were brief times. Troy Halpin was probably was the standout down there at the time.
What a player.
Yeah, incredible. A master.
Yeah.
And Matt, go on, come forward.
Yeah. For me, I'm not Australian, born and bred. I was born in New Zealand, so you'd go an interesting fit. Like Des would say, it's a rugby culture over there. Yeah. But ever since I could, stand up, my granddad had a ball at my feet. He's from Huddersfield, who have obviously just been promoted to the Premier League. So
Aaron Moy.
And Aaron Moy. So I obviously started playing from a tiny tot, went through the highest levels of development in New Zealand, played National League there, and then got to the ceiling in my playing career. I wasn't progressing any further, and I love football, so I started coaching at 17. And Paul Wozni gave me a job out here, moved out here, and then I've just steadily increased my coaching capacity. So
your role at the school in this program is?
Yeah, my role is the technical director, so I obviously oversee the technical side of the football. So from when they're year 3 right through to year 12, I've got to plan the curriculum and what they do so they can actually have that opportunity for best development. We do that working closely with Football West, and obviously Chris Hull is helping a lot there through his guidance, but also through FFA. We try to follow obviously what they're rolling out and what they're doing, which is good. But we also look to overseas and best methods that we can also bring in just to give us that edge to do things.
Okay, so talk us through, whomever is the best fit here, talk us through if a student enrolls in the school or wins a scholarship or a place in the soccer part of the program, what does their day and their week look like as a football student there?
Yeah, for sure. So like another subject to like science or math that they have, we have 5 sessions a week of football. So one of those is a leadership class. So in year 3 to year 6, we use Play As The Way. It's a local, Wilson McCuskell has his own resource that he uses to try and teach the social, emotional skills for the students. And then, so they have that once a week together with their 4 sessions of football. And then in high school, that's year 7 to year 12, we utilise a resource called Habitudes. So that habitudes is a form of images that we try and put to the players that they become familiar with. So like iceberg and talking about, what an iceberg is, and that you see 10%, which we typically see, but 90% we don't see. So that's below the water, and that's also us as people. So we've got to really work on probably 90% of our character. So using these images helps our players recognise, obviously, a pathway to leading self all the way to changing culture. So from that, we then have our 4 sessions a week, which probably Matt could talk about.
Yeah, obviously we have 4 sessions a week in football. With the year 3 to 7, 8, we're looking at increasing their technical capacity so they can go on to play the tactical side of the game. When we get into year 7, they'd start playing competitive school matches. So obviously we gear training towards term 2 and 3. So we look at how they're performing. We can do some video analysis and then look at how we can get them ready to perform for the games during the week.
How do you qualify? Is it a scholarship or application process? How do you get in?
Yeah, so all things are on the website. So what we would do is we go out and promote the program, and then parents would sort of become familiar with obviously what the values of the school, and then they'd apply. And we've just had our applications close on Tuesday for 2018 scholarship holders.
Okay, and the aim of the program is I'm football tragic, just like probably everyone in the studio here. So if I was given this opportunity to do, I'd be going, Mum, I'm begging Mum, how do I get into this program, Mum? So at the end of it, what am I going to have opportunities to play professional football? Am I going to be in sports administration? Is there a coaching role? What's the aims that you say to the kids? Okay, this is what you can do, kids, at the end of this program.
I think a great question there, because I think we want to prepare them for life. So obviously football's just a small part of life, and I know we want them to be professionals, and hopefully that is a result of what we do. And from what we've seen, the improvement, we've certainly have players like that. But I think it's also to ensure that we allow them to go into life well prepared for work and other types of things. So it's more than just football, even though
Well, that's so important. I mean, some of the issues that we face in our society now are where kids are suffering. They suffer a lot now from low self-esteem, depression, youth suicide around Australia is a national problem, and things like this that you're putting together are so important in not just teaching kids about our code, which is an important part, but the life skills of how to handle disappointment, how to handle when you don't make it as a professional footballer and your dream is there and all of a sudden it's taken away. All these little twists and turns that happen along a footballer's journey. And Matt, you would have been, I've seen so many kids who actually had that dream, and when it doesn't eventuate, having the skills and the ability to cope through that process. Do you find that that's also an integral part of what you're teaching?
Yeah, it's essential. And I think, like on that, Don, I appreciate that we just had a dad this week ring me to say, the impact we have had on him as a dad, and how he's trying to become more engaged with his own son. He's now taking him fishing. He's now taking him one-on-one goalkeeping to try and get back the time that he's probably lost. And we as a school work together closely with our parents to make sure that that's front and centre, because we know that's the success is built in that.
Just touching back on Penny's one, when she spoke about what's the process at the end, I think we know that inside football, if we provide the platform for them to do their best, to reach their potential, if they're good enough to be a professional footballer, the door will be open for them. So I don't think it's providing them with a dead set opportunity, but just getting them to a level where they can definitely, obviously, take that next step.
I like the idea of combining something that a child loves with life experience. If that can enhance their learning and their responsibility and skills in life to cope with things, then I'm all for it.
Yeah, in terms of the big picture, compassion and teaching and leading students into discovering that the world's a big place, that people matter full stop, this sense of unconditional love for others. I totally agree with the concern about youth suicide. Schools have got a part to play, and in fact, cause and effect. We've got to get in there and find ways of connecting with young people that are meaningful one of the ways we've done it, I had the privilege of being with Matt and Stephen in China with our students and seeing them out in, if you like, open spaces, including with a local orphanage. Now, my dad was a Baptist pastor. I come from a faith background. I remember walking down an alleyway and seeing someone begging and thinking, you know what, there is a lot of people in the world. Isn't that terrible? As I walked, I noticed the footsteps seemed to stop. And I looked over my shoulder, and these are guys who don't come from a church background. They stopped, they reached into their pockets. They made a difference for that man in that moment at that time. Had they not had that experience, they may not have made the connection that actually their lives matter and they've got an opportunity to shape and give value to other people's lives.
So important.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah, just one thing I was going to ask Steve, in terms of the pathways and the bridges that you might have through your process. I mean, who do you reach out to? So when you're playing competition or when you spot a player who you think is ready to go on to the next level, what sort of bridge? And Paul Wozni is a fantastic man. I've known Paul for a long time, and the work that he's done in developing young players within Western Australia. My son's one of them, and I tip my hat off to Paul's ability. He's fantastic. And also his connectivity and networking ability through Burnley Football Club and other clubs over in the UK. What sort of bridges and pathways do you connect with at this stage?
Yeah, I suppose Matt could probably answer that more fully. But I suppose for us, it's making sure that there are pathways, that there are opportunities, whether it be with NSR through to the US college system. We do realise it's difficult to play in Europe. As much as everyone's dream is to play over there, you are one of millions of kids that want that one spot. So for us, it's ensuring that it's not just football, it's other things. But I suppose Matt could talk about some of the things the links we've got.
Yeah, obviously first and foremost on our doorstep is Perth Glory. So if we can have players from our school entering the elite program, that's a great start. I think when we first started, we had 1 or 2 Glory players, and now we're up to 5, and I think next year we're going to push to 9, 10 players heading into that program. So if we can support obviously the FFA directive and where they want to go with the development, that's awesome for us. But also we've got talented boys at our school that aren't inside the Glory program, so we're looking at taking them or showing them into Europe if we feel that they're ready, or that US college system. And we're currently out liaising with people I know Steve's liaising with people in China and through Asia, and myself through Europe. So we understand that the Premier League's obviously the ultimate dream, but we realise that there's a lot of Australians in Belgium and these lower leagues in Europe, so there's definitely pathways that we can open up for these kids.
And Des has probably given us the directive to start looking at Asia. We've been to Beijing, we're involved in the Great World Cup, and what we saw over there was opened our eyes to the game, and now for us to start to look at real connections, whether it be in Indonesia, whether it be in Japan, and also bringing students from there to South Coast to also, like Des said at the beginning, give us an international flavour.
Yeah, I'm just reading off the website, so for anyone that wants to learn more about the South Coast Baptist College, I encourage you to Google their website and go on it. And some of the messages coming through here from testimonials like the family that says the best part of the football program is watching our daughter apply the tools she develops through the program to real life, and it's Cindy and Charlie Wainwright. And it's so important that you get that feedback because it encourages you in the job that you're doing.
I think that's the joy of what we do, and that's what puts smiles on our faces is seeing the impact you can have on the local community. And I think Des probably leads from the front there, but it is something that we do on a daily basis, and you see families, you see boys, girls, all impacted, and it gives no greater joy.
Can I ask, with the collaboration of Football West and school sports, how does that affect you guys and overall, or on specific level?
Yeah, it's probably a bit of a contentious question, that one, but I think Peter Rickers has done a great job in trying to advocate for our game, particularly in the school section. And together with Football West, hopefully we can come together to recognise that we need to work together. There's a lot of people involved in football, both at school but also at Football West, and I think eventually our aim would be to make sure that we don't clashing, and that and both players have got opportunities both from a state school perspective, but also from a Football West perspective. So whether that be in state teams, they're not getting. And I suppose Matt could talk about some of the things we've worked on there.
Yeah, just on that relation, I think it's a great step forward. Obviously, if we look at our playing population in WA, especially in the junior game, worldwide it's very, very small. So if we're pulling against each other in any which way, it's only going to have a detrimental effect. So I think everybody, if possible, we need to be on the same wavelength moving forward to give these players and students the best chance.
Yeah, Don and Miguel, who was on before from Australian Mini Football, we talk about this all the time, and it's something that as our sport grows, I think we're all pushing the boundaries of our own previously very protected areas, and we're going, well, okay, we're kind of bouncing off each other now and taking from each other, but maybe we can work together, and we've kind of got to that point where we need to start talking to each other and working things out. I think so anyway.
Well, the only way forward is for all of us to be supporting each other, because we're all our passion is for the common goal, which is football, teaching people to be better people. Because, we're trying to. I keep saying, sporting clubs are the second home for kids. Schools, so when a kid's not at home, where is he? He's either at school or at his sporting club.
Yes. And
that environment is so important to be supportive and assist in the guidance and growth of the people.
Can I just ask about your program? The 920 students is massive, that you're talking about there, and 200 of that being the football part. Has it grown so much because of the football part, or the area that you're in, or how's that working?
Great question. Probably all of the above. The football, there's no doubt the football program has been a spearhead of attraction for people wanting to come and join our school community. That said, we're growing anyway, so it's football program and I think it comes down to, with people of the character of Matt and Stephen, not to blow their whistles for them, but they genuinely care about the kids. And, you come back to kids and their journey through school, actually their journey through life. When they come across people that are actually invested in their life, it makes a difference. And I think that's actually what all parents want. They want people to be invested in their children's lives, and that's what's happened.
Absolutely. Guys, we are going to go to a break because we've got another guest who will be on the line, not coming in, so you can stay where you are, that's fine. You're very welcome to stay for the next half an hour. Justine Blondes is our guest from Football West NTC program, and she's been a very successful coach. She's now with Perth Glory as well, and players are going through the programs and out to other parts of the world to play football. So we're continuing the development vein there, so feel free to stay put, and we're going to go to a break and come back and chat more football in a few minutes. This is Pen and Don and the crew on the World Football Program.
It's not who we're playing against, it's the points. These guys are coming to our country to play for the most important points, being for World Cup. This is it, we're at home. This is why we all play football. It definitely makes a difference when you see and you feel the passion from the fans, and their noise and their support will carry us over the line. This is the world stage, and whatever happens on here is down to you.
Coaching football. Is it about leading your nation or giving back to your community? Is it about inspiring the next generation or just spending time together? Find out what coaching football means to you. Visit myfootballclub.com.au.
I want to succeed so badly because we have such a great team, and the fans, I think that we owe everyone around us something.
Everyone is bought in. I think the togetherness within the squad is huge, and it just makes you want to put everything on the field when you know someone's putting a big tackle and you're like, I want to put in a tackle like that, and I want to play for her, and I want to win for this club and these fans.
This team is special.
This team is ruthless.
This team is family. This team gives everything for one another. And this team, no matter what, will show you heart and passion every day we get on the field.
With a ponytail. I'm not you when you were a kid. The stuff your high school coach said to you will really, really motivate me.
Not. I'm a girl.
I'm a girl.
We're girls and we play soccer.
Girls need to be coached like girls.
Mia Hamm once said, "Coach me like a man, but treat me like a woman."
Are you going to argue with Mia Hamm? If you're going to teach me soccer, do it right, because there's a lot at stake.
If I stick with sports, studies show that I'll get better grades in school.
I'll get a better job after college.
I'll have a lower risk of obesity that will last me my whole life.
Coaching girls soccer is serious business.
I'm more likely to get a serious concussion than any young athlete except boys who play tackle football.
More than boys who play soccer.
More than boys who play lacrosse.
And more than boys who play ice hockey.
In my teenage years, I'll be 6 times more likely to blow it a knee than a boy my age playing the same sport.
If I believe you care more about winning than you care about me, I could quit sports, and that could affect me for the rest of my life.
So remember, I'm a soccer player. I'm a soccer player.
And I'm a girl, so coach me like one.
Treat me like one.
Teach me like one.
Back on air, the World Football Program with Pen and Don, Matt and Steve in the studio talking football, and we're welcoming Jess Bonzis, Football West NTC coach for the girls and women's programs. Good morning, Jess.
Hi, Penny. How are you?
Your portfolio is becoming larger. Your title is becoming a mouthful for me, Jess.
No, keep it simple, Penny. Keep it simple.
Good to say. Good morning, Jess. Everyone should know who you are by now. You come back regularly enough and talk football with us. It's all good. We've got
Thanks for having me.
No problems at all. We've got the guys from the South Coast Baptist College in the studio with us, and they've been talking about their program, which is a very new program to the football landscape here in WA, but it's a growing one. So it's all good to get kids involved in a technical level and life skills and all that kind of stuff.
Pen, I was going to ask Steve, how many girls are in the program out of the 200?
Yeah, so of the 200, unfortunately we don't, we've only got probably about 20 odd.
So there's room for growth there?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, we've just started, to be fair on that.
Yep, cool.
So.
When you smiled at that question, Steve, I thought you were going to say there was no girls.
No, 20 is a good number to start with.
What's that, 10%, 20%?
Yeah, about 10%.
Yeah.
It's
okay.
Early stages.
Something we would like to change.
Yeah, okay. Right, Jess, NTC. Let's just say congratulations to Sam Kerr, who is a Perth Glory player of a few years now. She's with the Sky Blues, Player of the Month in the...
first time in Aussie, hey? How good is that?
I know, very good. It's very, very good. So her name's getting splashed around all these international forums, which is fantastic for football. And, she's from Australia, from Perth Glory, giving a bit of a profile of everything here, Jess. It's great.
Yeah, look, Sam had a fantastic W League season here. She was captain. Obviously she's been captain for the last 2 seasons, but really stepped up this season. To see her go back onto the, both international stage in some ways and go over there and continue her form, we're just so happy for her on her behalf. But like you're saying, it builds a profile for football here in Australia, but in particular, again, shows that we're producing players in WA. So
well,
really good.
We do need that, Jess. I was chatting earlier with Pen regarding a function I went to, and a Fremantle Dockers women's player was there, and she was telling us about how much money gets spent on this league of 8 teams playing 8 games or whatever it was, and they want to grow that league. $20 million the AFL spent on the women's league, and just imagine if we had that sort of money to spend on women's football, where women's football would be. But the question I threw at Kirby was, I said, you guys, are you looking at expanding your league? She goes, they want to expand the league to 16 teams, but their problem is they haven't got the foundation of players who actually are good enough to create a product that's good enough. So in trying to recruit people like a Sam Kerr, they can throw as much money as they want, but they won't be able to get her because of the fact that Sam wants to play a global game which gets her out there on the world stage.
Yes. Yeah, let's get away from this AFL chat. Sam put it in perspective when they asked her that when she was here, and she just said she's got no interest and this is the game she's passionate about, and AFL can do whatever they like, but they're very Australian based, and she gets to play internationally. She can play in a World Cup, she can play in the Olympics, and unfortunately that's something that the AFL can't do. So let's get back to our game and focus on our game. And again, like you said,
well said, Justine.
just on that, just a shout out to Sam then. She's actually a former Somerville Baptist College student, so just down the road. So it's just, like you said, there is a pathway for us in the game of world football.
Wow.
It's always good to be aware of the enemy too, you see.
We're aware, we just don't need to give him any more airtime, mate. So let's keep our focus on our product.
Let's do that. Jess, tell the listeners out there any other Perth Glory players that are out there on the international stage. Let's give them a plug.
Oh, so obviously we've got our 4 internationals. So we had Nikki this year, Vanessa, we had Ariana. So
say surnames, Jess. Come on.
Now you're gonna be testing my knowledge. And we also had Alyssa Moss. So those 4 players came in as our international guests this year into Perth Glory, and did a fantastic job. And again, another reason that our W League can really have a really good product, because not only can you recruit Australian-based international players, but you can recruit 4 international players from overseas. And I really think that the standard of the W League, in particular in the last 3 years, has just grown has just improved so much. And is extremely competitive. So those players. But then obviously we've got, we've got our WA-based players that are, on a number of kind of little lists around in terms of mini Matildas and young Matildas. So, hopefully we're getting a few more players that are going into camps. Last year we had quite a few younger players that are kind of on the, around the edge training with, the Glory team that are also now starting to get a little bit of, awareness and on the radar for our national teams as well. So, and Abby Meekins and Lexi Marino and Morgan Aquino, those players and little Miranda, one another goalkeeper that's coming through. And, so we're definitely starting to have players as well.
It was
of that calibre.
It was good to see in the last coaching licence course that some of the Perth Glory players, the ladies, were getting through there. There was quite a good number in that coaching course.
Yeah, so the PFA this year has done a great initiative, and so that they'll, help fund and help promote female coaches that are in the W League get their credentials. So, we had Sean Billman, who's another phys ed teacher that's working out in her school, and also did one of her licences, and Kim Carroll, and we've got quite a number of our players. I know Morgan out of the NTC program is also out there coaching at the moment, and Izzy Fleta. So we're really starting to see players, got Katie Schubert and Tash Rigby now. They're involved with our NTC teams and our state teams. Really starting to become female coaches, and again, there's only a playing pathway for our female players, but there's also, when they're finished doing their elite career and that, or they can match it up at the same time and go into coaching as well and kind of give back.
I think that's a great initiative that FFA have actually done now, where they've made it more affordable. I know that the big issue about doing the coaching courses was the cost and the travel and all that. Now that they're actually making it sensible, and more people can get out and do it, which is great.
Yeah, absolutely, and that kind of ties in with the Football West program. Is it the Coaching Ambassador program?
Yep. So again, we're going to have a mentor program for Football West as well, which is, I'm not sure if everyone knows about that, but you can jump on and female coaches can get mentored. They can, a mentee and a mentor can get paired up and kind of be supported through that. Obviously, we kind of know that coaching land out there is a little bit male dominated, so that little bit of extra support where they can go to somebody and ask for some advice or get some feedback or just bounce some ideas off is something that Football West are investing in at the moment. And then, like you said again, making it, they've done a few female-only courses. I know that on the Girls' Day Out, I ran an LD Mini Ruse course as well. So definitely it's coming along, and there's lots more opportunities as well, even for female players to get involved in coaching, which will only grow the game again, as we're talking about.
Jess, I think I'm the only female coach across the under 11s girls league that I've seen anyway. I was just having a talk with one of the parents about this during the week, and we both nutted our brains and tried to think, was there any other women's coaches across that league? Can you tell me, across the junior football and then the women's football and then the women's state league, what the numbers are of female coaches?
Oh, look, I'm probably taking a bit of a guess, but out of my knowledge, which isn't, I don't have stats or anything in front of me, but there are more coaches. So I know that, if you look in, even in the under 13 girls league, there's a couple of female coaches in there, and even in the under 15 league. What I think that the Premier League clubs are starting to do, which is really fantastic, is starting to get some of their senior players who are in their Premier League actually go down and start coaching their under 13s and under 15s and their under 11s and stuff like that. So again, I think that's a nice little cultural shift in the right direction, with that that support. And again, once it starts happening and it's not like you're saying you're the only one and then you go to every other game, once there's more female coaches out there, I think that it will just snowball and become, the usual rather than the odd one out at the moment in some ways and the exception to the rule. So, but I think there is definitely a change. And even if you look in our NTC program, historically there's been more male coaches in that. And now, there's lots of female coaches involved as head coaches, but also as assistant coaches as well. So,
yes, very important.
Yes, very important.
I do think there's probably more than 50% across the state league, the women's state league, that's Premier League and the State League Division 1, that will probably be female.
Yeah, there's definitely starting to be a shift in the trend that way, which again is fantastic, isn't it? And I think that, female players can now kind of go, oh, right, I can be aspirational towards that, and maybe even starting to think about, well, how do I finish off my playing career and still play maybe towards the end of those years and then get my foot into coaching, get my foot in the door, and then kind of make a nice smooth transition, because it's got so much to offer. And again, the women's game is slightly different, the way you manage players is different as well. And again, not to say that good coaches, any good coaches, male or female, can definitely handle that, but again, let's make sure that we've got opportunities and a pathway for our female coaches. So
yeah, just a couple of things I want you to comment on. The start of the Women's League this year was kind of fractured, and in the way that the number of teams that withdrew from the competition and then formed the competition essentially, and then the Metro competition formed, and I think that's formed in a good way, North, South, Central. That's great. It's kind of been a reflection of maybe the priority that has been put on women's football over a number of years.
I think that when we started off with the night series, having a little bit of a different format this year, probably maybe something that the State League needed to go through to give people a little bit of an idea of where they fall on the landscape and how their elite teams are going. So I think that that's a good thing. In particular, if we're going to be working towards like a WNPL in a couple of years, it probably gives everyone a bit of a yardstick of where they're at, a bit of a measurement. So I think that that's really good for reflection, plus also being able to do some forward strategic planning for each of those clubs. We've had some really fantastic feedback on the Women's Standing Committee with, changing those metro leagues into Central, North and South. The majority, 90% of the clubs have been really happy with that and had a really good response from that. So, yeah, like you said, Penny, I think it's not been changed for change's sake. I think it's actually been responsive to some of the needs that's been out there in the community.
Do you have a comment for us about the Women's NPL?
So at the moment the Women's Standing Committee and the clubs have actually met. They had a council of clubs meeting a couple of months ago, and also obviously the Women's Standing Committee are working to kind of put not a strategic plan, but a bit of a roadmap in place to see what kind of, to give the clubs, I suppose, some idea and some direction of maybe some of the things that they should be working towards. So rather than an NPL just being, snapped on them in a couple of years' time, what do they kind of need to be thinking towards in terms of coaching credentials and what underpinning teams in terms of their youth development needs to be underneath that, and just those types of things that they can definitely be working towards now to make sure that they ensure that they're in a really good place when it comes to be putting in their criteria or their application, that they can be really successful in that. And again, it's not going to hurt the game now, is it? It's going to really develop the game in the next couple of years to be able to do that as well.
I think you're spot on with that, Jess. I know Tim Hodgson from Redback said exactly the same thing, is that this is the night series that we had to have to figure out who's going to move forward and push up into the NPL or stay in the Premier League, and who isn't quite ready yet and needs to do some more work.
And even those clubs that do need to do a little bit more work, well, it's better to find out now and be able to have that opportunity to do something than to kind of find that out when it's a little bit too late. Yep. So, like we said, it's just a really good opportunity for clubs to find out where they're at and to reflect. And maybe even, I think it's really in the last, maybe 6 months, brought clubs together to be having those critical discussions that need to be had. And, what does your club need to be doing, and how can, Football West help them, and how can Sam Watkins help, and all these types of things to make our products better of women's football.
Now, speaking of Sam Watkins, Sam's done a lot of work, probably well beyond whatever her cut-off switch is. Everybody does at Football West. I'm absolutely sure of that. There's a limit, and they go way beyond it in their dedication. The SAP, which is the Skills Acquisition Program for the girls, I remember having a conversation with Sam about making it club-based rather than Football West, a Football West push program, and I think that's a fantastic idea. Can you elaborate more on that?
Yeah, so obviously they're just trying to get Mini Roos and SAP in clubs. So, how many girls, and it doesn't have to be girls, it can be, obviously both. There's been that move for skill acquisition to be in for the male clubs that have got NPL, and I definitely think that it needs to be, driven by clubs if we want to really grow that base of players. And, then they come through your club and then they end up going into, your under 11s and then, moving into the 13s, 15s, and then, before you know it, in a couple of years, they're pushing for spots in your reserves or your Prem League or, whatever highest competition your club has. So, yeah, I definitely think it's, a really good move and definitely, where clubs should be investing.
Yeah, it was a natural progression, I think.
Yeah, agree. Yeah.
Okay, just talking about the competition, just a little bit of a snapshot for our listeners out there in women's football land and beyond. Sitting on top of the Women's Premier League table at the moment is Queen's Park. I noticed there's an interesting number of varying games that are being played, like between 4 and 6 games. I'm not quite sure why games might have been postponed or whatever there. Just maybe you can help me out there. But
yes, I think there was a couple of players away in the Australian futsal when they went off the international futsal tournament. I think there's been a few games that have been rearranged for that.
That's right,
I know NTC has played an extra game already because we've been proactive for when we go to challenge. We always move a game, so we thought we'd play it earlier rather than it kind of being tied over to when players start playing W League and stuff like that. So we're a little bit more proactive. So that's why there's probably a little bit of variation. This weekend will be the last game of this round, and then next week will be the start of the new round. So that's kind of why that's happened that way, I think.
Yep, good one. So sitting on top of the table is Queen's Park, who won the Nye Series back to back, and then NTC yourself. Well done. Equal points. Okay. And
we're stoked.
Yeah, so congratulations.
One game in hand for Queen's Park, though. We can't let that pass by. Northern Redbacks only played 4 games. What's the go there?
Yeah, like I said, they've just had a few games postponed because, and there was also the Masters in New Zealand. So there's a couple of players. I know that they moved the games for Bassendean as well. So
that's right.
And Redbacks are finding their form. So watch out, everyone.
Yeah, that's right. And Tim's been at the club forever there and doing a great job. Melville played against Redbacks in the Cup round, which was the Metro Women's Cup on Sunday, and that was a tough game.
Yeah.
Tim was down there opening up the club rooms, and he wasn't the coach, but he was doing what he does.
Always, we've got to have those club champions out there, don't we?
You do. Absolutely.
Tim's a tragic and a champion too. He's good at what he does.
Yeah. And last week's results, just for our listeners, in the Women's Premier League, NTC defeated Bassendean 4-1. Queen's Park defeated Balcatta 4-1. East Mantle got whacked by Northern Redbacks 5-0, and Beckenham had the bye this week, which is round 7. Northern Redbacks are playing NTC, and all women's games are on Sundays, by the way, listeners. Bassendean are playing Queen's Park, Balcatta are playing Beckenham, and East Mantle have the bye. In the State League Division 1, sitting on top of the table there is Wanneroo over UWA Netherlands and Leeming, and then Stirling Panthers. State Cups kick in too. So round 1 kicks in June 18. I should mention that to everyone. So the State Cup, which is the Premier League and State League Division 1, are all in one pool. That's June 18 and June 25, the first round for that. And then the clubs through to the Metro Cup round, which is all the teams in Central, Southern and Northern divisions. The next round for that is June 25. And there's 16 teams left in that.
That's all exciting. Just had a couple of messages asking what the NPL fixtures were for the men's today, because there's a little bit of a shuffle. There was meant to be a game on Sunday for Perth and Stirling, but that game is actually being played today. So for Perth and Stirling supporters, it is the Dylan Tombides Cup that both teams play for. So get down there to Doreen Gardens for that game. It is definitely today, not Sunday. And the other games, quickly just to go through them, are Armidale versus ECU, Joondalup at Alfred Skeet, Florida Athena taking on Perth Glory at Leicester Stadium, Subiaco taking on Bayswater at Rosalie, Balcatta taking on Coburn City at Grindelford Reserve, and Mandurah City taking on Joondalup United. The big blockbuster in the NPL is definitely Sorrento taking on Inglewood United, top of the table, versus, I think, third Inglewood, and they are on the up. They are with Andy Keogh taking over the reins Inglewood, and they are just in great form. They whipped Bayswater last week 4-1, which is no mean feat down at Frank Drago, although Baysy had their keeper sent off in, let's just say, controversial circumstances. So that, check out the footage. I mean, the best thing about most people that love their football can't wait for the highlights clip that comes out on Tuesday on the Football West website. So if all the action refer to that, and then just quickly pen on in terms of the ladder, Sereno on top with 28 points, Perth second 26, Floreat 26, Inglewood 24, Bayswater 23, Joondalup United 23, ECU Joondalup 21. Real tight logjam there, and it permeates through all the men's leagues. The first division is absolutely going to the wire. That league is so close, and the second division super close. Last night, congratulations to Olympic Kingsway, who put on a night game down at Kingsway Reserve, where a tough, tense 1-1 draw was fought out against Gwelup Croatia, the rising team in football. So that's the men's rap for all the boys out there who said what's happening in the NPL.
I'm laughing, Jess, because it's usually me that has to squeeze the women's in and make copy.
I had to sneak that one in, Jess. Sorry about that.
I'll go segment voice.
No, that's good. That's good.
Back in your box, Don.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that, Don. Thanks. And we did talk, Jess, earlier about there's so many facets to the World Game, and in 2 hours we'd like to talk about it all, and we don't always get to fit it in, but it's good. We have a variety of guests. We've got the school sports. We've got Don, who puts it all in, and we've got women's football, and I'm a great advocate for that, as you know, Jess. So I think we pretty much cover everything in one way or another.
Of course.
Yeah. Otherwise we get texts reminding, go on.
That's right.
The West hasn't got the results or the pictures in. Come on, Paddy.
Sort it out.
It's all good, guys.
Right. I think we've covered everything, Jess. You've done well, and sorry, who is your fixture tomorrow?
We've got Redbacks.
Redbacks, that's right. That's the big one.
Yep.
That's the big
We're
one.
ready.
Okay, good.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thanks for your time. Really appreciate
all
it,
the
Jess.
best, Jess.
No worries. Thanks, guys. Take
See
care.
ya.
See ya.
Bye.
That was Jess Bonzis. Always a good catch up, and got her fingers in a lot of pies.
Busy girl.
She's been studying and is going to go into lower primary school next time, because I think she was in high school with the Safety Bay school. So she's been studying 1 year, 2 years, can't remember. But didn't skip a beat or take a break. There's lots of football that filled the hole. And, well, boys, we've got to finish up the program soon. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you, Penny. Really appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, Matt, Steve,
nice
thank
to
you.
see you, Steve. Yeah, and you, Matt.
Do you still play football, Matt?
Just with how busy coaching is, not at the moment. So
Okay.
I think once I step back a little bit, I'll get back into it. So
Okay.
Still young enough.
Yeah, no, you look primed and ready to rock and roll.
Exactly. Defender. Yep, the height gave it away.
Yeah, good one, guys. Appreciate your time today, and do keep in contact and let us know how things are going. If you've got events coming up, happy to put them out there.
Beautiful. No, thank you.
All right, anyone interested in knowing more information about it, it's the South Coast Baptist College. Just log on to their website and follow the information there. I'm sure Steve will keep in contact with me, and I'll put things out there. But we'll finish a little bit early today, because Len comes in with the bags groove, and I know sometimes I push the boundaries talking about football. So over there smiling. So I appreciate that, because there's always a lot to talk about.
Last mention for the FFA Cup.
You do that.
The big games
There's
on
so much
Monday.
football on
There's
this weekend.
too much happening.
Don't go away anywhere.
So Bayswater taking on Western Knights. Get down to I think they've renamed it. They're going to kill me. One of their sponsors.
It's the Inglewood Oval.
No, Bayswater.
I know.
No,
sorry.
It was Frank Drago. It's now.
Oh, sorry. Finance 365.
Finance 365. There you go.
Yeah.
So get down to Finance 365, or Windy Hill, as we lovingly refer to Sorrento's ground.
So hang on a second here. It's at Bayswater's Oval. Is that
Correct.
what you're saying?
Yes. That's
and
right.
wasn't the Inglewood Stadium called? Oh no. Okay.
Too tricky.
It is
so
too hard.
definitely at Bayswater, and definitely down at Sereno. Go watch those games on Monday. They will be cracking cup games with big crowds in attendance.
And if you're unsure or we've missed anything, go to footballwest.com.au and footballwa.net for previews and reviews, links to everything. Lob any comments on our World Football Program Facebook site. Thank you for joining us today, everyone. Appreciate that. Don't forget, you can catch the show on the YouTube channel. Back next week talking more football. This is Penn, Don and the team out for this week.
Join us again next week at the same time for the World Football Program on Radio Fremantle 107.9 FM.